Welcome back to the show. So in this part of the show, we're going to take a look at our highs and lows of the week that's been. So we'll start off with our player of the week, or should I say Kenny's player of the week. We've got a couple of contenders, nothing, we're not inundated with players for this.
So you look at the action and everything, obviously we haven't got much footage or everything to work with and much more games, but there were some major games where you're looking at, obviously I've narrowed it down to 3 players and they all get sort of different performances. Obviously Mooney, with his couple of goals he scored, and I could have had Abdi, like Igalo again in there, and Abdi in there, but I've kind of narrowed it down to Giroud, Mooney, and Ivanovic. I'll start with Giroud. Basically, like the 2 well-taken goals. Like I said,
especially the second goal, the way he's so on the ball before everyone else.
Yeah, he's thinking. You know what I mean? But he's thinking.
And not only is he thinking to know that he's suddenly got a few yards of space to move into it. It's then the delivery was good, but the finish itself,
absolutely,
it was.
But it's some of the first goals as well. It's great finishes. But I think what Giroud's done is that, the sort of theme of our shows, a lot of players, is that playing when you're injury free. It's like we know Andy Carroll before he had his latest injury, which is sad for him. You're seeing the best of him when he's injury free. You look at Giroud. A lot of people, Arsenal fans, do criticise Giroud. Some people say he's like a lamppost, or some people say he's not like top Arsenal class.
He does work a lot better when he's got the players behind him playing as they have been, like the Corzolas, the Sanchez, Alexis Sanchez.
Definitely.
When they're on song, it seems like Giroud's on song as well.
Definitely.
He needs that bit of quality behind him.
I think so. Another thing as well, in terms of that game, having that sort of pace, having someone who's quick and works really hard like Sanchez around him, and obviously Welbeck works well around him as well. I think he benefits from that, because he always got the impression that last year when Walcott got injured, I think Giroud struggled a bit in terms of having that support. And I think now he's injury free, he's coming back to his best. Would he be another Henry? Maybe not. Would he be another RVP? No, you're not. But we want him to do different things. We want him to hold the ball up. We want players to run for him. We want him to sort of, get beyond it. The only thing that worries me about Giroud is that, Andy Gray always said, you need to gamble. When a crosses comes, there's times when I wish he was getting in front of the defender. But I think in that respect, the reason why I'm looking at him is my London Players of the Week. He's done all the things I want him to do. I want him to hold the ball up. I want him to bring players in. And I want him to get in front of those defenders. And I think that's what he did very well. And
you said David Mooney. Obviously, his 2 goals for Leyton Orient were extremely important in the context of the game. And it was a good all-round performance from him as well.
Oh, absolutely. It was a definite performance. Again, it's like a massive game. Like I said, struggling at the table. And it's one of those things where I don't know what Louis Rivani says to him. I don't know what he offers him in terms of incentives. But him and Dagnall, especially obviously Mooney, they're actually playing for this guy. And you look at Mooney's performance, it wasn't just the goals. But, like I said, it's like when he arrives, like he plays behind in midfield. But what I like is that he's a very poor man's Frank Lampard for me. It's like I saw it in the Preston game that was live before, where it was making those little runs, arriving in the box, surprising a few defenders, and I think he did that very well at Chesterfield. And I think that's why it wasn't just the goals; it was the actual movement from the midfield, and that's why he's my man of the match. I've gone for Ivanovic. He divides opinion, obviously, especially for yourself, obviously being a Fulham fan. There's a lot of things that annoy me about him in terms of, like the gamesmanship, the play acting, the off-the-ball shenanigans. But what I do like about Ivanovic is that he gets the team going. He's up for every game. Especially like defensively. He's very sound. Like you're not going to outrun him. And you're not going to out-muscle him. And I thought in that respect, he had a good all-round game in Paris. And also he's popped up the goal. And I think that's another thing that I like about Ivanovic as well. He's always on the move. He thinks like a striker. You look at his goal, it's like there was 2 phases of play. There was like the actual free kick by Willian, little flick on. But he's alive in the box, you know what I mean? He's alive. Every time there's a set piece, he's always thinking like a striker. Am I going to lose my marker? Am I going to get in the right place at the time? I think his all-round game for me made him Chelsea's best player that game.
So who's it going to be, Kenny? Who's your player of the week?
I'm going to have to go for Ivanovic, because I know a lot of people think, oh, why don't you go for Giroud because he scored a couple of goals? Why don't you got Mooney because you describe him as a poor man's Frank Lampard, especially those performances. But Ivanovic, to me, is a complete defender, and that's one of the best performances I've seen from him all season in terms of play. And he always turns up for big games.
I'm surprised at you, Kenny. The amount of Chelsea and Tottenham players you give Player of the Week to, it surprises me.
Impartiality and fairness. I believe in fairness more than anything.
Well, it's through gritted teeth that I say that Ivanovic, Player of the Week this week. So we'll move on now to our Goalkeeper of the Week. Now, again, not many contenders here.
Well, again,
it's
all about footage. Obviously, we narrowed it down a couple of players, but I could have said Henderson, because Henderson, even though Charlton beat Brentford 3-0, it wasn't a comfortable 3-0. There were instances where Brentford had some very good chances. Like I said, he made a fantastic save from Pritchard, long-range effort, which put over the bar. His handling was very good as well.
But as Gary said earlier, it was a bad day at the office.
It was a bad day at the office, but it wasn't so. They weren't thrashed. It was just like Charlton scored their goals at the right time, and I think that's where thing. And I think when you have a situation where the team you're playing is not playing that badly, and they still hurt you, you need your goalkeeper to turn up for work, and that's why I've had Henderson for that save.
But another goalkeeper that turned up for his work this week, Courtois.
Courtois always impressed me. It's like Chelsea. One thing I do hate about Chelsea is the greed. They've got two of the best goalkeepers in Europe as number 1 and 2. And one thing I hate, it keeps them happy. How can you have how can you be so greedy when you've got two of the best goalkeepers? And I'm not talking about shot stoppers. They're imposing. Look at the size of them. They filled a goal up. I mean, last week you had Petr Cech, who hardly ever plays, yet he's ready for action. He makes two world-class saves from Lukaku, which can turn a game. Like Courtois, whenever he's called on, he makes some great saves. It's just unbelievable. It's like everyone talks about the save from like Cavani, the header, but I think the save from Ivanovic Ibrahimovic was even better, because again, Ibrahimovic has done a 1-2. He's done a 1-2. I think it was Lavezzi. He's opened the Chelsea defence up. His angle. It's on his wrong foot. But the goalkeeper had to be alive. He was alive to that situation. He knew instantly what was going to happen. It's like a lot of goalkeepers conventionally, a lot of goalkeeping coaches from before in sort of the 70s and 80s, they always just say, use your hands, do this properly. Mm-hmm. But I think Pat Jennings, going back a bit, he kind of and Peter Schmeichel were like pioneers of using your whole body, i.e. use your face, as well as your hands and your feet. And I thought that save was probably actually as a game changer. So that's why I'm looking at it. And then you've got Gomez struggled for some reason. His situation was made untenable at Spurs. He's gone from number 1 to number 4 goalkeeper.
So who's it going to be, Kenny?
Right, we
don't want to spend all long talking about the goalkeepers. We've only got 3. Who's your goalkeeper of the week?
I'm going to have to go for Gomez, because they won 4-3. He's let in 3 goals. However, there was a situation where at 2-2 he's made a triple save, not a double save, a triple save, which could have changed the game, and he's basically turned 0 point into 3 points. So
and it was great saves.
Aurelio Gomez.
Well done, Gomez, goalkeeper of the week. So we'll move on now to our goal of the week, and we have a couple of contenders. Let's start with Giroud.
Well, I've got some Giroud, couple of Giroud's, both Giroud's goals were fantastic goals. Obviously, you're talking about a second goal where it's like he's caught the Middlesbrough defence having a nap.
But it was a very well taken finish. Like the cross that was coming in.
Definitely.
He's had to volley it in the air.
Definitely. It's impotent. What's happened is that when Giroud is wide awake, and he's part of the wide awake club, he can steal in and score some of these goals. So
there was 2 good goals. And then there's Goodmanson of Charlton as well. Another good finish for him.
Fantastic finish. Like, obviously, it's a different.
I think we gave him goal of the week last week.
But it's a different thing. It's basically, it's one of those goals where you basically shoot the ball where the crosses come from. Like Harry Kane's goal last week against Tottenham. The ball's coming on the left wing. He's headed it back where it came from. You don't save them. But it was a different thing. It was a shot with his left foot, inside his left foot. He's basically, ball's come from the left wing. He's hit the ball where it's come from. Goalkeeper, you know, like it's got no chance.
And then obviously there's Abdi's goal.
Abdi's goal was a worldie. It was actually as good as the goal he scored at Craven Cottage. It was actually a carbon copy.
I don't remember that.
I know, clearly not. You probably left by that time anyway. But it was a carbon copy where he's got his back to goal. He's looked up. He's looked up. And it was one of those things where you always taught the goals never move. If you shoot in that right direction, it's good. The goal's never moved. It's when it's a corner.
the fact that you've called it a worldie suggests that that's going to be the one that you're going to go with.
I'm going to have to go with Abdi. I would have liked to get it to Gudmundsson because I do like the way that he's basically hit the ball where it's come back from. But to turn, he's not having that much time, but put in the top corner, Abdi again. Bit like the goal he scored against Fulham.
Good stuff. Well done, Abdi. Goal of the week. So we'll talk quickly now about the London team of the week. Now, we'll start off with Dagenham and Redbridge. Good win for them.
Absolutely good win. Great result. They've gone up the table. You know, they won away from home. Leighton Orient, I was going to give it to until last night when they, like I said, showed their inconsistency again. So they were disqualified from Team of the Week. Charlton, much needed win against high-flying Brentford. Got Arsenal obviously getting to the next round. And you've got Chelsea, who basically put in that sort of a very professional performance. I'm going to give it to Charlton, because we've criticised them in this show quite a lot.
First win for a long, long time.
And a first win for Luzon. And they're playing for him.
First win of 2015.
I don't know what it is with these players. A lot of these fans say, oh, why are we getting these foreign managers playing? These guys played for him. He actually got Ventekele scored as well, which he hasn't done that for a while. So I'm going to give it to Charlton. Good
stuff. Well done, Charlton, team of the week and first win of 2015. So we'll talk quickly now about our wooden spoon of the week. Not too many catastrophes.
Well, you've chosen Cameron Gale.
Well, Campbell and Gale. If anyone saw the dance they did after the goal, I think that alone is worthy of the wooden spoon of the week.
Was it a bad dance than the one that Moreno and Sturridge did for Liverpool?
Well, that was terrible, but obviously they're not a London club, so I had to stick with the London club. So who's it going to be, Kenny? Because we've got to take a break in a minute.
I'll give it to Cresswell, because he was at fault for two of the goals. It's easy to give it to Alva Furtado because he got sent off, but he didn't really affect the game. I thought the Cresswell's mistakes for the first and fourth goal affect the game, so I'm going to give it to Aaron Cresswell.
Aaron Cresswell, wooden spoon of the week. Cost West Ham their place in the FA Cup.
Afraid so.
So join us after this break where we'll be taking a look to the games ahead this weekend.